All right, guys, let's check out the Squale Sub 39 in blue. There are other colorways, and there's even a GMT version of this particular size case. But today, big thanks to Russell Jewelers in Vancouver, Canada, sent over this guy here. They actually even sent over the bracelet. So you can get this on the leather, which is an amazing leather, or you can get it on the bracelet. I'm a bracelet guy, but I have to be honest with you, for some reason, this leather is just working. So let's get into the watch. 39 millimeter case, but as you can see, the bezel overhangs the case. So if you measure the bezel, it's more like 40 and a half. So that's kind of what's going to present. So this works like a little bit of magic, right? It's going to wear smaller, more comfortable like a 39 millimeter diver, but it's going to look like a little bit larger. So best of both worlds, maybe, for some people. Lug to lug, smudged up there. Lug to lug is a 48.5 millimeter. You can see a very thin mid-case profile. And then you have the bottom portion and the top portion kind of changing up the look of the case. It still is thin and looks thin, mostly because of that thin mid-case design. The thickness on it is actually only like 12.5 millimeter, but that's including this boxed and domed sapphire crystal. So keep that in mind, 12.5 millimeter, 300 meter water depth rating on this thing. So these are some really good sizes. A lot of divers with these very similar specifications are going to be in that 13.5 millimeter. So this is a whole millimeter thinner. And then keep in mind, a lot of that is in that crystal. So 22 millimeter lug width, really wide. Again, I would typically suspect some of these measurements to dictate a 20 millimeter lug width. We have a 22 here, which I don't know. A 20 would have been fine, but 22 doesn't seem out of place on this one. It works good with this leather, which has a nice taper to it, and it'll work really good with the metal, which also has a nice taper to it. A 7 millimeter screw down crown. That blue coating on there is just to protect it from scratching and being in focus. So that would be removed, no problem there. And you have a nice sharp coin edge on this bezel here, 120 click. Nice smooth action all the way around. The inset here, or insert on the bezel, is actually a K1 crystal, similar to like a sapphire. And then they have the printing down below. Unfortunately, it's not loomed. Typically, when you do something like that, you would loom it. This one's not loomed. I'm not really sure why, but it just isn't. So let's zoom in and take a closer look at this beautiful blue dial. And I'm a huge fan of pairing up these brilliant blues with the white trim and the faux patina. It's a really nice tri-color combination that just really works for me. I had it on that Longines Big Eye, and I see it here on this, and I'm sure there's other watches out there. It just works. For some reason, it's visually appealing to me. The date at the 3 o'clock is a white date disc with the black printing. You have your 12, 6, and 9. This is all going to be loomed out, the index, the printed indexes, and the hour, minute, and seconds. Love the almost jeweled shape of the crown there. Pretty much entirely polished, a little bit of brushing on the lower portion of the bezel there. Gives it a nice effect. Here's a look at the case back, laser engraved. And there's that genuine leather made in Italy. Smells great, feels great. Let's zoom back out. I'll let you, I'm not going to put it on the bracelet, but Russell's also sent over the bracelet so you could see it. Has screw pins, has a nice taper to it, probably 22 down to 18, I'm guessing. And it has a diver extension, kind of not really needed, but 4 micro adjust, simple fold over clasp. Has hollow end links though, oddly enough. That was interesting to see that. Let's pop this on my wrist, 7 1/4 inch wrist, so you can see what it looks like. I'm telling you, this leather is really good. Like I said, typically I'm a bracelet guy, but man, I've been really warming up to straps, whether they're leather or FKM or silicone even. I mean, I prefer leather or FKM, but not all leather is created equal. This one feels nice and comfortable, even though it is slightly padded. It's not overly padded. I'm not a huge fan of padded leather, but this one's just the right amount. It's not overly done. And I love the, stress look to the leather, but it looks like it's not going to crease or anything or show any marks like that. So price point on this thing, to the Russell Jewelers website, link in the description. On leather is $1,180 US. If you do it on bracelet, it's not that much more. It's 1,265. Salida movement inside, SW200, so Swiss made, 26 joules. Just over 40-hour power reserve, hack, hand wind, all that good stuff. Let's kill the lights and check the loom on this. In my experience, Squale loom is not super bright as like you would hope or expect on a diver. You can kind of see it here. The loom pip is a little weak, and the dial printing is also a little bit weaker than the minute and hour. And I suspect it'll fade out in a couple hours. I don't know why they haven't really like upped their loom game. There's loom there, obviously, but it's no Seiko loom. It's not like, but that's an unfair comparison too, because Seiko's kind of like the champ in that, unless you go to a micro brand. But overall, I think a very slick looking watch at just over that $1,000 price point. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video.